And we are back, and we just came home from the theater where we saw 2025's. Look at that, a film from this year.
Yep.
Companion, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 37 minutes. This comes to us from writer-director Drew Hancock, and according to IMDb, a weekend getaway with friends at a remote cabin turns into chaos after it's revealed that one of the guests is not what they seem. That's pretty good, actually. This falls under the category of thriller, sci-fi, psychological thriller, dark comedy, and AI. This stars Sophie Thatcher as Iris, who at the beginning of this is reminiscing about two of the most important days of her life. She is in a relationship with Josh, played by Jack Quaid, and they are off to a remote cabin to hang out with Jack's friend Kat, played by Megan Suri, and her boyfriend Sergey, played by Rupert Friend, and another couple that are friends with Jack, Harvey Guillon plays Eli, and Lucas Gage, who plays Patrick. This, I mean, if you watch the trailers, I think they give a little bit away, but not too much. So I'm going to ask Yuji to be spoiler free because this is something that is still playing in the theaters.
Yeah, I mean, it just came out this year. We never get spoilers for that.
So I guess, again, without giving too much away, what did you think of the film?
I loved it. This film was great. I didn't pick up my phone at all. And it was moving really fast. When I did check the time, we had like 40 minutes left and it's still, I don't know how to explain it. It felt like I was like, oh, wow, there's only 40 minutes left.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a long film. Again, it's, what did I say? An hour and 37 minutes. So it moves very quickly. There is not a lot of like minutia in this story. I think from where it starts to where it ends, it just goes. Sophie Thatcher is the MVP. She does a magnificent job of
really good
of being our gateway character, of introducing us, and then very nicely wrapping it up at the end. I like the little end credit scenes too. I won't give them away, but definitely stick around for that as well because there's a little bit more storytelling that happens as the credits roll. This was your choice. Excellent. I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. I mean, I'd seen the trailer. I kind of knew a little bit about it going into it, not too much. But again, I was not prepared. There were times where I jumped at certain things that happened and I was not expecting them. Jack Quaid is deliciously unlikable in this film.
I didn't like him from the beginning.
I was fooled. I bought into his schmoopy little act, but he is not that at all.
Dirty scumbag.
Yes. What did you think of Kat?
I didn't really like her from the beginning, honestly, either. I thought that she was in love with Josh and that she might have been jealous of Iris, but I'm not sure. It was clear that she didn't like
Iris.
No, yes.
Yeah.
And I just didn't like that, so I didn't like her.
I agree with you. There was a point where I wasn't sure if she was into Josh and that's why she maybe didn't like Iris, but then something is revealed and sometimes I wonder if that's why she didn't, although she didn't show that animosity to somebody else in the group. So yeah, I'm not sure. So maybe she really did have a thing for Josh because she plans this whole encounter with him specifically.
Yeah, they were originally going to
do something
bad, and it was only going to be the two of them.
What did you think of the house? It was interesting.
It was very pretty. I liked the way it looked, I guess, but I've never really been fond of locations out in the middle of nowhere because it feels like nothing good ever happens there.
I agree. And same. I think the house was really nice architecturally, and I guess the design work and whoever staged the house did a great job. But yeah, I agree with you. Living out in the middle of nowhere just doesn't feel like a good plan. And yeah, it just doesn't end well for the owner of the house. What did you think of Iris's character?
I loved her from the beginning. I've always liked Sophie Thatcher, and I thought she played her role really well here. And I was on Iris' side from the beginning. I didn't want anything bad to happen to her.
Same. I felt like it's interesting because she definitely goes on that hero's journey. She does learn some things and is empowered, and then by the end she is a better version of herself. I think she was always a likable character. At the start of the film, we are introduced to her through her meet cute with her boyfriend Josh.
Yes.
And it's a sweet story. However, by the time the story ends, Iris has pushed through some pretty awful situations.
Yes.
And has come out stronger and better on the other side, and a little richer, shall we say. Mm-hmm. So good on her. And I think I also like this message of empowerment for women, and women that are in sort of these gray area relationships, shall we say. I don't want to say too much.
Yeah.
But it was great to see a woman just, I mean, you hate seeing her go through these bad things. However, she does learn and she becomes better. And because of her trials and tribulations, she comes out even better on the other side, because I don't think that she'll ever fall into these traps again.
Yes.
So
honestly, the movie is, I feel like you couldn't really talk about it without talking about spoilers.
Fair. I mean, do you want to do like a deep dive? Do you want to sort of like just wrap it up, give numbers, and then maybe do a deep dive and talk a little bit more?
I liked talking with you after the movie once we saw it.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I feel like, we should probably give spoiler warning.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So I'll start with myself. I think if I'm going to give this a number from 1 to 10, I think I'm going to give it an 8. The script is strong. All the characters are really well done, really well fleshed out. Some of them don't have a lot of screen time, but it doesn't really matter. Nothing is wasted on here. I think the script is tight. The storytelling is solid. The sets and the art direction were really well done. And yeah, I'd give this an 8. What do you say, G?
I give it a 9.
A 9.
I agree that it was really good. This has been my favorite movie that we've seen all year.
Okay. I mean, it's still only February, but I'll allow it. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes. And it was nice to go to the theater and watch this with you.
It was really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. This is our first film out in the theater in 2025. And you picked a winner. Good on you. Good on you, kid. All right. So if you want to deep dive with us a little bit longer, hang out. If not, we will bid you a good night, but we hope to see you soon on another review. All right, so we're going to start again. Do you want me to go through a little bit of the story, or do you want to just deep dive into it, kid?
You could give a little bit of the story.
Okay. So in the film, we are introduced to Iris, again, played by Sophie Thatcher, who is reminiscing about the 2 days where she felt truly happy.
The 2 days where she felt like she was really living. Like, she uses this metaphor of a black cloud hanging over people's lives.
Yes.
And how these 2 days, the cloud opened.
Yes. So the first day was the day that she met Josh, and the second day was the day that she killed him. Mm-hmm. And I loved how she starts the film with this quote, and she ends the film with this quote. Very book ended here. And so again, in the beginning, we are given a flashback of how she first meets Josh. And then we're brought into this present day where they are going to, I guess, hang out with his friend
They're on a little,
Kent.
Getaway vacation.
Yes, for a weekend, very short, but they're going to go see his friend Kat, who is staying at her boyfriend Sergei's house out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And another couple, also friends of theirs, Eli and his boyfriend Patrick.
They're also joining them.
Yes. So from the start, you see that there's something very...
it seems like there's more going on than just a little vacation.
Yes, there's that. But I was going to say about Iris, there's something very fragile. There's something very, I don't want to say off, although he does say to her before they go in, he tells her to not be weird, right?
Don't be mopey.
Don't be,
Make sure you smile.
So she very much feels out of her element, and she's trying desperately to connect with his friends. I don't think Eli and Patrick show her that animosity, but definitely Kat.
Yes.
There's definitely an animosity with Kat.
Eli's much nicer.
Eli is definitely much nicer.
Gives Iris a hug. He treats her very nicely. Yes.
Patrick dances with her.
Yes.
However, there's sort of like I wouldn't say offness, but there's like a weirdness with Sergey, right? Too.
He's just bizarre. He's very much an older man who thinks that he can say whatever he wants to beautiful women.
Yeah. And then, so I guess the first night that they're there, they have dinner, they dance. At one point, Iris looks over and she sees she sees Josh and Kat very close, and
they're like huddled together in discussion
and kind of whispering to each other, and maybe she gets a little jealous and she goes over and breaks that up, and she takes Patrick to herself. Josh, sorry. She takes Josh over to herself. And I guess you didn't like you didn't like Josh from the beginning, right?
I did not. Their little meet cute it just made him look like a loser. He was embarrassing as hell, and if that happened to me, if someone was across from me and they came over to be like, oh, hey, and they knocked over that many oranges, I would turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
He was a loser from the beginning.
Okay. But I think here is when he starts kind of showing his true self. And another thing about the story is, while we're told the story, you get flashbacks of the past. So you find out that Iris is a robot.
Yes, designed by a company called, I think they were Empathics.
Empathics, right. She is a companion robot. She is basically almost like a sex robot.
She is, but there's like a little additional thing. She takes care of Josh. She loves him.
Yes,
that's in her programming.
Right, and in her it's in her program to not hurt him,
not hurt anybody,
to not hurt anybody, and to not lie.
Yes, she cannot lie. She can't hurt anybody.
And then you come to find out that he has altered some of her settings.
Yes, with a mod, which could get him in
trouble. Right. Because she is a rental and he signs a contract. However, unbeknownst to anybody, or maybe just to Josh and Kat, there's a scheme to get money. So we're going to get to that in a minute. But again, to your point about how there's a mod that alters Iris, the other thing is that we find out that through Josh's phone, and I think everybody's guilty of this, right? There is the dashboard that controls Iris. We do so much with our phones. Our phones really are like our little mini computers in our pockets. So we find out that Josh has purposely set her intelligence, Iris's intelligence, to like 40%.
40%, yes.
So, and that's deliberate, obviously. He doesn't want her to be smart. He doesn't want her to...
He's not looking for intelligent conversation with her.
Yes, he just wants somebody to worship him and to have sex with him whenever he wants. That's basically Iris's function.
Yes,
I guess to take care of him. I guess she does all the cooking and the cleaning and whatnot. So the very next day, Josh and Iris are supposed to take a walk. Josh allegedly says that he doesn't feel well. He's a little hungover, so he tells Iris to go ahead. She decides to go sunbathe. And as she's out there, Sergey comes, makes an appearance, and starts hitting on her.
Yes.
Pretty aggressively.
Yeah, super aggressively. And then it just gets to the point where he's harassing her. He's touching her.
Unwantedly.
Yes, she asks him, please stop, please stop. And he's like, no, blah, 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 blah.
And then prior to this, for some reason, there is a pocket knife.
Iris reaches into her pocket before Sergey gets there, and she sees like a switchblade.
Right.
And she shoves it back in her pocket when he arrives. And once he starts feeling her up and he doesn't stop, she eventually pushes him away. He gets mad, and it escalates to the point where she uses the knife on him and she murders him.
After he's slapped her to the ground.
Yes. And he was choking her.
Yes. So she basically defended herself.
Yes, it was completely self-defense.
And it's interesting because she never comes across as like this tough, assured woman. She's very timid.
Yeah.
She's very,
Soft-spoken.
she's soft-spoken. And even in that sequence, you could see the terror in her eyes. She is not, if anything, you're almost afraid that she's not going to make it out of the situation. But she does, because this knife has been in her pocket. She goes back to the house. She's covered in blood. Josh is completely shocked. Kat is completely shocked. And then Josh turns her off. And that's when he tells his friend Eli that this was really all just a plot to get Sergei's money. So Kat brings them into this room. She opens up the safe. There is $12 million in cold hard cash in this safe.
Which, until in that point in the film, you're led to believe that that money comes from Sergei's evil deeds. You think he's like a Russian mob boss. He deals in drugs and human trafficking.
Yes, but he is not.
Not at all. It's an idea that Josh has about him that Kat never corrects until very much later in the film.
Right.
After multiple people, or after another person has died. Mm-hmm. And she just wants to get out. She's like, oh, he was never that. He was a sod farmer or something. And I never corrected it. And I'm taking my money and I'm leaving.
Right.
Josh is like, you're not leaving me here. And she's like, oh, yeah, watch me. But she never does leave the house.
Dun, dun, dun. So I think we also should mention that for as dirtbaggy, scummy as Josh is, he is kind of smart.
To some degree,
but he is kind of smart. He's got this whole plan and he's very quick on his feet because once the plan alters, he gets a different plan going.
Yeah, he adapts to the situation.
He adapts very, very quickly. So somebody else winds up getting murdered. And then Patrick, it comes to light that Patrick is also a robot.
Companion robot.
Yes. So then Josh alters Patrick's programming to basically be his slave, to do what Josh needs Patrick to do in order to come ahead of this game. So then more people die.
Yeah.
And then Iris tries to reason with Patrick, but Patrick is sort of like the Terminator. And the other thing was that Josh had increased his aggression
to 100%.
To 100%.
Which you can't do without his little mod.
Right. So he's just breaking all the rules, this Josh. And so by this point, like, I really, really dislike him now. And I'm like, you know what? I can't wait for the car to crush him because that's what he deserves. Mm-hmm. And then, well, I don't want to give the ending away, but it was definitely one of those movies where I was sitting at the edge of my seat and I was really worried for Iris because you want her to survive this. You want her to survive this whole thing because she's not at fault here. If anything, she's a victim. And also, I think this also brings up some really interesting conversation about sentience and AI. There's a really great scene, I think I said to you, that I really enjoyed where she says, I just wanted to live. And I thought that was so important because we are definitely in that time right now where AI is exploding and we're going to have these conversations about ethics and what that means. And once these AIs are put into these robots that are going to look like companions, what does that mean? What are the implications and the ethics of treatment of these beings? Because in some extent, they are beings. I don't know that they're considered living beings like us, although in a way they are because they're functioning, they answer, they do things, they accomplish tasks. They're companions, which is important. So it'll be interesting to see how that discourse goes about. But here, you can sort of correlate Iris's relationship to sort of domestic abuse.
It's very much representative of an abusive relationship.
Absolutely. And I think that Josh, played by Jack Quaid, who does a really great job of just being loathsome. All the hallmarks are there. He definitely gaslights her.
Gaslights the hell out of her.
He is manipulative.
Yeah.
He uses her. He is not kind.
Not at all. And then when she starts getting away, he's on the phone with her saying, you know, we could go back to the way things were. Like, I still love you. Don't you love me too?
Right.
No.
And then he forces her at the end to admit that he is her everything.
That bothered me so bad.
Why did it bother you?
I hated that he was on top of her and in that position over her and making her say that, like, you're my everything. Stop it.
Yeah.
She should have said, you're nothing to me. But it wouldn't have been true. I just, like, that's how it is with the relationships like that. He's every aspect of her life. Iris doesn't have a personality outside of Josh.
Right.
She's his companion. That's who she is. That's her programming. I hated that scene so bad.
Yeah.
At least it ended nicely.
Yeah. It was tough to watch. It was tough to watch because, again, this is represented as this woman who is AI with this man. But at the same time, you could just, if you remove the AI, this could have been domestic abuse.
Yep.
And he's not beating her per se, but the things that he's doing to her are still very problematic and very icky.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you just want Iris to be okay.
Yeah, I want her to be able to get out.
Without giving too much away, what did you think of the ending of the story? Were you happy with it? Were you satisfied with it?
I was very happy and satisfied with it. By the end of all of her trials, Iris has, like, I guess you could call it like a physical scar on her.
Yeah.
And she could probably get that fixed.
She certainly has the money for it.
Yeah. And what with being a robot and all. But it doesn't seem like she wants to. She's just, the end of the film, she's just driving in a car.
Right.
And she looks very carefree and happy. Yes, very happy.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part, right? That she found herself.
Yes.
In this whole traumatic situation.
Very traumatic. And I like the fact that she keeps this physical scar, I guess, because it's a reminder of what she went through. It's a reminder of who she is.
Yes. Yes. And that she's tough and that she could survive. And I think that that's also important. And also important in the story of domestic abuse or in those types of relationships, right? Because I think a lot of times people that are in those relationships, especially the ones that are being abused, like Iris was being abused here, don't know that they are worth more, that they deserve better. They just don't understand that.
Yeah.
All right. Again, you gave it a 9.
9. Yeah.
I gave it an 8. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do yourself a favor and check out Companion. Out this year, still in the theaters. Shout out to the AMC on 34th Street. Woo, woo.
Way better than the AMC we saw Wicked at.
Yes. And again, directed and written by Drew Hancock. This one is definitely a one to watch. And with that, we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.